On today's podcast, we had Helen, in Style Helen, if you're on Instagram. She's a fashion influencer and just an all-round great girl. I actually wrote a list of 15 questions today to ask her, and not once did I look at my 15 questions because we managed to answer every single one of them within this chat. We talked about social media strategy. We talked about how she deals with negative feedback, what her style is, what her key pieces would be, and just how she's kind of built her content around her life and something that works for her. I think she's got a very healthy relationship to social media. She's not a slave to it. She takes breaks from it. And I think it's an amazing chat if you're interested in fashion or you're interested in building a social media strategy yourself. So enjoy the chat. So Helen, thanks for joining us today. So you are a fashion influencer, if I can call you that. I know you kind of said that you fell into it, but we'll get into that in a bit. Yeah. But on Instagram, Helen's got an amazing following and she's full of life. She's very bubbly and you're extremely fashionable. So your Instagram handle is InStyleHelen.
Yes.
And as of today, I looked this morning, you've got 324,000 followers. Yes. How did that happen?
Well, it didn't happen overnight, that's for sure. I started on Instagram years ago, about 2013, and then went through a fallow patch and then sort of revived it in 2017. So I've been building and building since then. It really took off with Reels.
Yeah.
I think before then, you got some good hits and it went in really weird waves where all of a sudden you'd get a surge. And you think, where did that come from? And you get loads of likes. But really, it was Reels that kicked it off during lockdown.
Yeah, I think it was really, the algorithm was really pushing short form video content. And anybody was doing that, it really amplified you.
And people had loads of time. They were sitting on the backsides doing nothing. So we got loads of views at that time. And I think you can sort of track it. There's certain other Instagrammers that I obviously follow or I personally know or you're just aware of them, whether they're a bit similar or not. Similar demographic, I think.
Yeah.
And you notice sort of dips and troughs and then some people get stuck and then they seem to race ahead. And there's no rhyme or reason and I don't think there's anything particular that you can do to force it at all.
Right.
And at the moment, it's definitely on a bit of a slowdown, but then so am I. I'm sort of decided to take a little bit of let's just have a bit of time off every so often.
I was going to say, what does your typical day look like?
Gosh.
Have you got a strategy? Do you plan content and think, okay, I'm going to, do you treat it like a job? Like, okay, I need to be up at 9 o'clock and in the hours between 9 and 11, I'm going to film this and I'm going to film, or this is editing time.
I wish. Well, luckily, I mean, it's all down to what your family are doing as well, isn't it? So luckily, my husband now looks at Instagram, but he's shown completely different content. And when you look at somebody else's Instagram account, it's not very intuitive. And he'll say, how do I find this, that and the other? And I have to physically grab his phone and it's like walking through mud. And I think, God, this isn't easy. It's not very easy to navigate. And you know that because you get asked the same questions, even if you've spelt things out in a caption or on stories, people still say, where are your jeans from?
Yeah.
Even if you've put them from Zara, whatever. So it's really difficult, I think, for a lot of people to navigate round. But what I do, and luckily because Phil's probably sitting there in bed in the morning, he's scrolling, and I'm getting ready to post. I don't use scheduled posts.
Right.
I do it live. But yeah, of course, I do prep perhaps some reels and some carousels, and then hit the button and they go live because I have to check and double check. I'm terrible. And even then I miss things. I forget to tag someone or, it's a funny thing once you've done it. But then once that's posted, that's kind of it. And then you're on to the next thing.
So do you ever sit there and look at the analytics or the insights?
Yeah. And you look at what I've done, because there's certain posts that have absolutely rocketed and you think, my God, that's got 200,000, 300,000 views. And then you put the next one up and it, does 30 or 40,000, which to me, that's on the lower scale now. And then I've got quite a few that have done over 1 million, which is what, some people say, well, how have you got so many followers? I think it's purely and simply because I've kicked into more than 10 reels that have done over 1 million views. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Don't know why. when I look through, they are quite random. Some are filmed with the grey background. Some are filmed in my bathroom. Some are... the ones that kicked it off, the ones that started it off, thinking about it, last September, I did a reel where you couldn't even see my face. And it was me doing a cuff that I do on straight jeans, white jeans, and that was it. And it's done 6.2 million.
Wow. And what was special about this cuff? Anything? Ridiculous. Just the way you folded it, or?
I think it's just giving somebody something that they'll watch and rewatch and perhaps share or save.
Save, I think, is the big thing to grow your account, because then they come back to your account. And
you need to give them something, because a lot of people
giving
will
value.
think, sometimes you sit there and if you really analyse it, you think, what am I doing this for? Yeah. Really, it's quite narcissistic. I'm fanning about, I'm my own model, my own photographer, my own boss. But it's just good fun. I do it because it's fun and it serves a purpose for me. It scratches that itch that I need to be creative. And I've just, settled on this as a medium because it's videoing. I love the editing. I prefer that than the actual filming, because that takes quite a lot of time and you look ridiculous. And if anybody saw me filming, they'd think, what's she doing?
No, I know it. I absolutely hate it. I don't take any money from any brands to do anything. If I like something, I will just do it off my... I always say, listen, you can send me that product. You don't pay... Don't pay me for it, because I want to have an honest opinion. If I like it, I will just do something for you in my own good time. Please don't put a time frame on it. I just won't get it done. Yeah. And... it's like, because it used to take me forever to get happy with like the reel I was putting out.
Yes.
And it's amazing how long it actually takes. Hours and hours and hours.
It does.
To film a 30-second clip.
Yeah. But I enjoy it. And sometimes I work for people and it's not always about payment. Obviously, some brands you work with, but some of them want absolute blood and they want you to reshoot, and you have to get everything approved, rightly so. But then others, you just do it and say, send me those earrings or whatever. I'll happily shout you out, because there's a lot of really great, particularly women in business and men. There's men that I work with, but they've got small Instagram businesses. And I come from a place where my husband and I used to run a boutique, a ladies' boutique, until the crash, until I had my baby in 2008. Yeah. But we ran that quite successfully for a couple of years, and then things got really difficult because we also had a used car garage, and it was pretty untenable for Phil to do both. Yeah. But it was that, from that background, I know how hard it is. And the lucky thing is, I suppose, if you've got an Instagram business, you haven't got the overheads that you have with a physical shop, but it's still really hard work, and you still have to commit to big runs of product if you're producing your own, or you have to buy in a load of clothing. So I'm really on board with helping small business, because some of them are really good and it makes a change. I get really bored seeing H&M and Zara hauls. Yeah. Even though I wear H&M and Zara a lot, it's nice to give others a bit of a go.
And it's good to mix and match your style as well. It's good. It's good for the economy. It's good for everybody.
Yeah. And you're not seeing, well, every man and his dog have got these on at the moment, but... So I bought into the trend and I really like them. It's a bit of fun. And then, it's a case of I bought these, but you can get them cheaper here or more expensive there. But I don't cane it. There's a lot of people that it's a lot of link after link after link. And I'm too lazy, to be honest. I've got too much to do an awful lot of that. Yeah.
I'm always like, I like something and then I'll be like, oh, where's that from? And then they'll put like a link to another website that I haven't downloaded. I'm like, right, well, I'm not interested now.
Yeah, I try and do it off my stories. Yeah. If I can link or something very similar, or if I'm working with brands, obviously you do the link, absolutely. I always try, and I put it on my captions, and I even did... just over a year ago, I did 3 reels about how to navigate Instagram, because what I do is I always assume, or I try and step back and always assume that my audience haven't got a clue, because you've got some people who really haven't got a clue and others that are very clued up. Yeah. But I'm not working for them on this one. You have to assume that they know nothing, because we can't get upset that we keep getting asked the same things, because people genuinely don't know how it works. And if you're looking at reels, it's really difficult sometimes to actually get the caption because you have to tap very sort of diligently, don't you, in the bottom left-hand corner. And if you can't quite get it, and if you're not that dexterous, it's not that easy. And I'm always very conscious of that. When people are looking at my content, and then sometimes think, if they're just looking at that content as standalone, quite frankly, I look a bit ridiculous.
I think that's why you are so successful, though, because you are accessible. And also, I was watching your stuff last week, knowing that you're coming on this week. And so I was taking a big interest in all your stories, like I do anyway, because I like to see what you're buying. But you're doing a Primark haul. You were in Primark, you're trying on like coats and jumpers and stuff.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
You see, I am rubbish because I don't physically go shopping a great deal. I know I should, because you should support the high street, etc. But my daughter was at the cinema. She had a failed attempt, but she was at the cinema, and I had a couple of hours, and I thought, you know what, I'm quite chilled out today, and it's quite quiet and quite pleasant. I'm going to go around and have a route through, and I had a great time, and that's because I don't put pressure on myself to do that. Yeah. Some Instagrammers, they're brilliant at it, and they do an awful lot of try-on sessions in changing rooms, but I get really hot and sweaty, and a lot of change. The lighting's awful.
Yeah, I just couldn't imagine ever looking at the footage and thinking, I'm happy to put that out. I am so overcritical of myself. I absolutely hate doing these podcasts, as anybody in this studio will tell you. The lighting is not bright enough on me. My nose doesn't look right.
Oh, you look exceptionally gorgeous. Don't be daft.
I'm always like, Calvin, why haven't you told me? My hair is sticking up. And I'm like, oh my God, so I couldn't even imagine like having to do that every day. And putting content out there every day. I find it hard enough to do it for Elle-Sera, and that's a business product. You know what I mean? I find it so difficult. I couldn't imagine doing it for my own page. I just keep my own page for like me, and I just put what I want when I want to.
I think you have to be honest. You have to be yourself. You see, you win out because you are yourself, and you can talk freely and happily and all day long about your product and your ethos and what you believe in, because sometimes you get accused of being what's the word, I would say I'm passionate, and they say you sort of I can't think of the right word, it'll come to me in a minute. This is menopause fog, and it's getting a bit better from taking your gold pills, but they think you're preaching. Yeah. There's a fine line where you do get criticism levelled where you're preaching, and I have to hold myself back, and it's only because I'm so passionate about certain things. And then I have to think, look, Helen, you're predominantly here to wear simple style. All right, I'm not eclectic. I don't break all the rules. I'm not wacky. There's nothing that hasn't been seen before. So yeah, okay, if I cuff my jean in a certain way, don't have a go at me about it. It's just something that I do. And you might be bored of it, or might have done it in the 80s or 90s, but there's thousands of my audience that haven't seen it or don't know to do it, or are probably a bit younger. They didn't do it first time round. So, don't knock me for trying.
Well, exactly. You've got to look at the people who are sending you these comments, though, as well. I just think you've got to pity these people, because I haven't got time to reply to the people I absolutely love, and people that I want to work with, and people that I need to get back to, and my own creative marketing team. I haven't got time to do that sometimes. If you think I've got time to sit there, like I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he was talking about trolls, and he was thinking, anybody, look at like the Ronaldos of the world, and anyone in top flight sport, or anybody who's anything top of their game, are they sitting there and writing down a horrible message to somebody on the internet? No. So these people are just so irrelevant.
It's perhaps their hobby. Perhaps it makes them feel better, or maybe if they're doing it with a group of people, maybe it's a bit of a dare. It's a bit like, being interviewed and trying to get certain words in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't hate anybody or dislike anybody for doing it. I sometimes when I get a comment, it's usually on a post or a reel that does really well, because it's being shown to more people and it goes viral.
Yeah, that's the only time
you get a quota of crappy comments. And you do read through them, and sometimes I respond.
I can't imagine, though, you getting any crappy comments. I mean, at the end of the day, what is it to pull you up about?
Oh, I was wearing a bikini in the summer, and Yeah, I've lost weight. And okay, you know, it was before I'd started exercising, and I need to get back into that because I've had a dicky. People don't know the backstory.
I know.
And one woman said, that's not the body of a woman. And I thought, no, well, it is.
Well,
but
yeah.
I thought, okay, all right, fair enough. Maybe it doesn't represent what...
Was she an absolute supermodel?
No, somebody did take the time and trouble. One of my followers actually tracked because it wasn't a private account.
Wow, look at you.
And they found her. But that's not the point. Why did she feel the need to say something like that? If you think I've got flat tits or no arse or whatever, fine. I admit, you know, I'm not Elle Macpherson, but then my God, I bet Elle Macpherson gets a fair amount of caning as well. So you just have to, you know what? It makes me realise if you were a real bona fide celebrity, because none of us are real celebs on it's like being rich in Monopoly, being famous on Instagram. And yeah, I do get stopped. I got stopped in Aldi by 2 women the other day, and I was like, oh, shit. And they were, oh, love you, you know. But imagine being a bona fide celebrity.
Yeah.
And all the loveliness. Because my husband said, look, Jennifer Aniston, there's millions of people love her, but my God, I bet there's millions of people who can't stand her.
Yeah. And loads of people who just rip her life apart.
Yeah. So you can't...
If she dares put on a couple of pounds, it would be criticised.
Well, I watched Beckham. We've seen Beckham. And we all thought she was too posh to push, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I believe her with what she said, that she was over a due date, and it was critical that she had a C-section.
That's 100% what happened to me. I was 2 weeks over my due date. Yeah. I was in labour for 48 hours, and then I had to have a C-section.
You didn't want it.
No. Didn't go in planning it. That was it. That's what happened. So,
but, you know, I don't. Some comments sometimes, if you're not in a very good place that particular day, it can knock your confidence, and it pisses me off because I'm all about, I only really found my confidence after turning 50. So that was 5 years ago, and I credit what I do on Instagram as helping me. Instagram isn't just me, you know, like reaching about with clothes and doing quick changes. It saved me through my husband's cancer and his operation, because the amount of support. I had a charity T-shirt. Somebody made that and did a run of charity T-shirts to support the cancer charity, because it's quite a rare cancer that my husband's got. I don't know what I would have done without it, because I was on my own. He was in hospital for weeks on and off, and he was really poorly, really. He looked like he'd been dug up. It was awful. And I mean, we can sort of smile about it now, but he's still got the cancer.
Yeah.
You know, people don't know that. And Instagram and the people who helped, and the Instagrammers that wore my T-shirt and rose, you know, got the awareness up there, helps to raise awareness. You know, I'm forever grateful to them, and I'm still in contact with them, and we still follow each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a biggie. And then through lockdown, how many of us relied on it for communication? Cracky, you know.
Yeah, and inspiration of things to do every day. And I did loads of workouts on there, and did loads of cooking, and it was. Well, I started a business, you know, and then
is that when you started? Then?
So I sat on a kitchen table.
Well, it's good that something good came out of it, because a lot of bad happened, and I think it's changed our shopping habits. It's changed the way we look at Instagram, how we interact with people. I think it's brought out a lot of the worst side of a lot of people. That's the downside. But, you know, we're never going to change that. We're never going to change it. And I think, you know, my back is broad enough. What I worry about, honestly, is people who haven't got that broad back yet, or it could send somebody over the edge, which is my concern. Yeah. I can handle it. I've got, you know, a husband who loves me, and we're quite cosseted where we are, because, I mean, I don't go out and about that much. We're quite like little hermits at home, and I'm very lucky where we live and all that.
You've got a lovely online life, so you kind of feel like you're getting that interaction. You're socially interacting online, really. Yeah. I'm a bit like that. I've definitely become more introverted. Don't go to many social occasions anymore. Love the house and, you know, making my space lovely. And I feel like I get enough from doing conversations like this. I do a lot of work. I do loads of networking in work. And because of that kind of, I get exhausted actually after, let's say I've got to do a networker in London. You know, it's a big, long day, travel, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not interested in socialising at the weekend because of that reason. So for where I am in my life right now, it's I quite like being at home And
I do, which I, you know, I can. That's why some of the Instagrammers that I follow quite a few French Instagrammers and people who do more travel based, just so that I can live vicariously through them. Really, I mean, we've travelled a little bit recently, but because of our situation, we don't go that far at the moment. My daughter's just at an awkward age, you know, 15, and but hopefully more travel will come and a little bit more freedom. But, you know, going back even when my Instagram account was much smaller, you know, the actual content that you got, I went through a period where I went to see a counsellor because, you know, I had a bit of a sticky patch in my marriage because my husband was highly stressed. I mean, another thing, poor old Phil, you know, he had a stroke, and I believe that was brought on by stress because of the garage. You know, so it's not been an easy ride, and it isn't for every. I know plenty of people have stories, but you know, it's so that the sort of camaraderie and friendship that I gleaned from my Instagram friends was very important to me, as well as real life, because I've only got a small circle of real life people that I call my friends and my family. But some of the Instagram friends that I've got now, there's a core of them that I talk to. Some of them I've not met, I'd love to, but you feel as though if I sat down with you now, it'd be, you know, that would be it. We'd just know each other. Yeah. And they're really important to me. And the ones that the Instagrammers that I've met are lovely. In the main, really normal, really down to earth. Yeah,
they understand kind of your lives because you're very similar. Yeah. You know, you're producing content a lot, and people probably think your life's amazing, this glossy. They see you like, you know, with these amazing clothes, going out lovely shopping trips, and they just see the highlights, and everybody forgets that, there's real people behind it. Yeah. Real, you know, you don't get to, how old are you now? 55? You don't get to 55 without going through a hell of a lot of shit and experience.
Yes.
And
I went through from being at art school and studying and doing fashion and technology and design. It sounds fancy. It was quite a tech course, which bored me a bit because I just wanted to draw, design and draw pictures. So I got together with another guy called Anthony Wong, who was brilliant at designing. I never know what happened to him, but I'm sure he had a great career in fashion. And I just used to end up wearing his designs and doing fashion shows with him, which I was happy with. I wasn't really interested in the core of the, and then after that, I sort of ended up, you know, a lot of people follow the path where they get involved in their boyfriends, and then that takes over their lives foolishly, but it did with me. Yeah. So I sort of went through a period where I got into finance. I was a mortgage advisor. Right. I did really well at that. I did all my qualifications. I stuck with it. I got a really good job. But it wasn't me. Yeah. It was really dull, and it was just work to live. I was involved in not a bad marriage, but a marriage that should never have happened. It wasn't right for me, but, you know, I got out of it fairly quickly. But I really stumbled around. In my 20s and 30s, I would never want to go back unless I could significantly change things. I would never want to go back to being 20 or 30 again, ever.
So you've really found, like, hitting 50 is really the prime of your life? Or the best? Is that the best period?
I think it's all down to your state of mind. And if I could say if there is anybody who is, you know, 20 or in the 30s or even in the 40s watching this, you know, you've just got to give your own backside a kick and think about what you really, really like and what you don't like. And the only person that's going to change anything, whether it's what you look like, what you do, how you do it, who you do it with, when you do it, have a bit more of a think about it, because you can change things that impact in a really good way. I think I've made changes that have been good, not always, but, you know, I don't want people to be like I was when I was 46 and I was putting on a bit of weight and my boobs were aching and I was clearly probably perimenopausal, I don't know. And I thought it was one of my phases, and I thought, I'm not going to put up with this. This is bullshit. But there was nobody at the time who'd sort of found their way. I was with a bunch of women that now I realise it was quite a toxic friendship group, your classic school mums that you really don't want to be dealing with. But nobody sort of said anything because they were not bothered. Because at the end of the day, nobody's really interested in anyone else other than themselves. Yeah. It's like when you dress, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Do they? You only really bother about yourself, don't you? And I think, shake yourself down. So at 46 I did, and I went clean eating and started to exercise like a mad woman. Now, with the knowledge that I know, I was doing things a little bit wrong, but at least it got me into a position where I shed the whole attitude of it's inevitable that as you go through perimenopause and menopause, you put weight on and you feel, slack, done, on the shelf. It's not a case of, I know a lot of people say, oh, you become invisible. Now, I think that's a bit weird because, you might be, I think I touched on this when we were at the Lowry. Yeah. You may very well be invisible. Of course, I would hope I'd be invisible to 20 or 30 something, usually men. Mm. But then I'm not interested in them either.
Yeah.
They're invisible to me.
Yeah, that's true.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, they are. Because it would be odd if I started saying, oh, my daughter's boyfriend, he's really cute actually. But, that's it.
Yeah.
So just the same, don't fixate about menopause and being invisible. You're as visible as you want to be. Look at Iris Apfel and others of a certain age. One could say, well, they're wealthy, they've got good bone structure, they'd been models in the fact. Yeah, okay, but so what? You can dress how you want to, you can look how you want to, you can have tweakments if you want to, you can do your hair however you want to.
And you can walk in every day with confidence, and your shoulders back, even if you don't want to do all the rest of it, you can still...
Yeah.
I think that generation, your generation, the late 40s, 50s, 60s, they're the real generation now that have grabbed this menopause by the balls. Mm. They are not taking it lying down.
It wasn't talked about.
Exactly.
It wasn't
very
talked about.
vocal about it
no,
now.
It wasn't talked about.
Your generation are really paving the way for, everything to get better. Medical advancements to get better, just the conversation to start. I'm a big believer that we should be commercialising it because brands need to do something for these women. They've been loyal customers to you forever. You've been walking into John Lewis or M&S or whatever, department stores, and you hit a menopausal age and you've got nothing on the shelves for them. You do research, get a menopause expert in store if that's what it takes, and hold the hands of these women that have supported you since, they're in their teens.
Yeah, I think the marketing strategies, and I've discussed this with certain people that are quite well up and know CEOs, they had good management positions, etc. And I guess that if a strategy works, because I know from talking with my management that there's a push for the 30-something demographic, which is absolutely fine. I follow a lot of 30-something Instagrammers because I get influenced by them just as much as anyone. But they're missing a huge trick because I don't identify in the way that I saw my mum and her sisters when they were in their 50s and 60s. I'm not saying that they were old. It was just a different age. We've moved on. Not everybody. There's not everybody that wants to wear silver jeans. I have some of my best friends are not a bit interested in clothing at all or footwear. They very rarely buy anything new for them. I don't care. And they don't care. And it's quite refreshing to be with them because it kind of completely grounds you. And I think, I'm happy in skinny jeans and my welly boots and a big coat and walking around the fields with my friend with her gun dogs. So I think we need to, sometimes I think I pull myself back and have to get over myself because not everybody is interested. But then there's others that go to more of an extreme. I've got good friends on Instagram where they're really eclectic, really wacky, really stand out. Fantastic.
Yeah, good for you, yeah.
I'm glad that there is across the board, down to, I'm not exactly minimalist either. And there's an awful lot of, some people might say, well, they wear the same thing every day.
Yeah,
it's a grey jumper, a beige jumper, black, white or denim jeans.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are like, 3 different colours and you can mix and match a wardrobe and that's kind of how they...
And they're really successful.
And they're really good to get a capsule wardrobe by quality over quantity and this is how you compare this with this and this and this.
Yeah.
Great.
And
There's
they're
a
really
market for that
successful.
too, yeah.
So who cares? Who cares? Sometimes I look at people like that. Others I look, they've got like a blondie T-shirt on. I think, yeah, I'm going to have a bit more of a... I mean, it's difficult for me. I mean, the one thing that really knocked me this year, when I had my hair extensions in and a bit more hair, I felt like I could go down more of a rock chick, channeling Kate Moss sometimes. But I feel that I'm at a bit of a loss with that at the moment. Although, again, get over yourself, Helen. If you feel like that, just do it. Don't worry about your hair. And I don't think it's been levelled at me that it was because of the diet that I chose to go on last year. I just think...
What was the diet?
The diet was the high fat, low carb,
right.
Which I've talked about. I've got highlights, but I did it with Zana Morris, who was brilliant. She changed my life around and really opened my eyes. And then I've just done loads of research since then. And I think, I think any sort of dieting thins your hair. My hair was really thin anyway. It always has been fine, and it's got thinner and thinner. I think it happened after I had Nancy 15 years ago, and then probably going through menopause. My mum's got really fine hair. My dad's bald, so I've got no chance, have I? And I think there came a point where I had to accept it, get rid of the hair extensions because they were starting to show and not doing me any favours. So now I'm actively trying to work with what I've got and not lose any more, which is why taking supplements like your supplement and other supplements and trying to get more protein into my diet, cutting out sugars, carbs, seed oils. I just feel it's all been beneficial. So if people think I'm getting a bit preachy, it's only because I'm passionate about it, because I know it's helped me after my knee operation with inflammation.
Listen, for the one person that might say it's preachy, I bet there are about 100 people who are actually really engaged and watching exactly.
Yeah, I get messages from people saying, I'm doing it and it's working.
And you only remember the one
because
we're negatively biased.
Yes.
But you've just got to discount that.
Yeah.
They're not even, they wouldn't even have the balls to do what you do. You've got to pity those people who are just like, I mean, I always get it like people who are like, I'm not judging Alyssa, but like, I get those people who feel like they can talk to me on a level. And then sometimes if people start saying stuff on our Elle-Sera Instagram, someone was having a go at us about our marketing. I was like, I looked at her account, I just had to laugh. I was like, look at the state of her fella. Wow. And she's having a go at us about our marketing. So I was just like, I tell you what, if you want to take this up on a conversation, come and find me on my personal Instagram and let's have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
I said, and I'll take your marketing advice. Anyway, I'm really quite sassy, especially on my business page. I'm not PC. I'm never going to be. While I'm in control of this business 100%, and I haven't sold shares to anybody else or anything, I will 100% bring my own personality to our marketing and our brand message and our replies. Kelly is very much on the fence. Hi, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm like, I stand by what I said and I'll say it again.
That's the difference between being a boss, because my husband was like that when he had a garage. And I used to say to him, rein it in a bit, Phil. But if somebody was acting up or trying to pull the wool over his eyes, he was in a position to say, get off my site and don't come back.
Yeah.
Nobody else could say that.
Yeah.
And he did say it a couple of times and it was valid. It's like, this is why I like doing Instagram as well. I mean, all my life I did jobs, as I say, that they were okay. And I was working for Phil. I hated it. Whoever's watching, don't work with your husband. We bickered. Yeah. It was awful. And even though I was working from home doing all his admin not all of his admin, but quite a lot of his admin at one time, it was awful. Hated it. But, he needed me to do it.
Yeah.
So I've gone through life doing jobs that I've really not liked very much. I'm a natural salesperson. I was fine when I was in sales. I loved it when we had the boutique. We inherited it from his mum when she died. Too young, she died. I bloody loved going to London, doing the buying.
Oh, I bet.
I loved it. And then dressing women. I mean, sometimes I'd been known, because we could, I'd give a belt away. If they were umming and ahhing, I'd go, no, here, take it.
Yeah.
You need it to finish the outfit. Or, something. Yeah. I'd say, no, you need that. Take that.
Well, that's a good way to build customer loyalty as well.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm a stylist, because there are some people out there that just have a knack of being able to dress any woman of any size. I can't say hand on heart that I can do that, but I've got a rough idea. Or I will find out for somebody. I'll try and think back, to the old Trini and Susanna days, because even though that's really dated now. Some of the basics still stand.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that maybe, I mean, it was great in the 90s, but now it just, it was all very body shamey and stuff like that. But actually the key message was, no, we want to make you look better. Yes, they might have gone about it in a bit of a brutal way and it wouldn't be accepted now. But sometimes the brutal truth is what you need to hear to kind of get you to change your habits. I'm a big believer in that. Just honesty is the best policy.
Too much pussyfooting around. But we do have to be careful. I went on to, and I've also, what's quite nice is I have got a subscriber-only channel now. I've not got massive amounts of subscribers, but I really love producing little bits of content. I do extra stories and reels and posts. I need to do more, actually. I need to ramp it up. But you know that they're on board with you and you can say a lot more. However, I was looking on my account because I do look at analytics and things because you have to, because you have to send them when you work with a brand. Yeah. You have to tell them how it's done and
this is
link clicks and all the rest of it.
I mean, when celebrities come up to us and say, oh, we would like to promote your product, and I swear hand on heart, they've bought it themselves, repeatedly bought it themselves, and then they want to work with us. So I'm like more open to that than if somebody who hasn't bought it. But I'm always like, can we see your insights and analytics? And, whereas the management is just trading off their name. And I'm like, well, that means nothing to me in terms of like the sales volume and what I'm expected to get if you want me to invest in your client.
Yes.
So analytics are really important. And I think celebrity managers really need to understand that.
They are. Some of them don't give, on some of mine though, sometimes it comes up. Some of them just don't have any figures sometimes. And I never quite understand fully the engagement side because the bulk of my time, which I am consciously trying to pull back on because I just haven't got the time to do it, is answering all the comments, but I have loads and loads of DMs. Now, my managers say, well, they don't count to your engagement. And I'm like, you're kidding me.
I should do.
And I said, are you sure?
It's a private space that nobody else can see. And actually there'll probably be, I spend my life in DMs.
Yeah, and doing voice messages to people and everything. And they're really lovely and you try and help out as much as possible.
And they purchase most of the time from a DM.
Yes. I suppose I'm not always selling. I'm not always selling, you see. Quite often it's, I'm coming to London in January. What should I wear?
Yeah. And I'm like, where could you recommend for lunch?
Yes. So, but I try and, because I suppose it's being old fashioned. You want to be courteous, don't you? But I'm having to pull back. But then sometimes you get a message, links, jeans.
Yeah. Question mark. Yeah.
Sorry, no, that's just rude.
That's a bit rude.
So, but I usually bloody answer because I'm a soft touch. But I think
sometimes I get so many, I just have to double tap hearts.
Yeah,
because I just can't.
Well, I do that as well. It's acknowledging, but you haven't got the physical time. And again, it's not very user friendly sometimes. And I don't want to just put a generic message back. So a heart is probably better.
Would you not get like a virtual assistant to help you?
No.
Just keep it all in-house?
No, I'm a real person. Yeah. No, I'm not trusting anything like that.
No, I agree with you. We don't do it either.
No, but, I'm a real person and I'm afraid of that in some ways. I think it has its uses. I mean, I'm not shunning technology in any way. I mean, look where we are with Instagram. I mean, 20 years ago, we were still going on holiday, taking photos and getting them developed and waiting 10 days before you got your photos from holiday. I mean, I love the fact that I love and hate phones in equal measure.
Same.
I don't use QR codes. I don't pay with my phone. I'm a little bit I'm such a clutch, if you lost your phone, you're screwed. So
my battery goes too much for me to rely on it.
Yeah, so I'm a bit old fashioned in some ways and quite protective of certain things. But the fact that I've got a camera in my pocket, it's amazing, isn't it? It really is amazing. And sometimes I stop and think what I'm doing. And I used to use a darkroom with my brother because he did graphic design and photography. And we would develop, and there's something still quite joyous about developing a photo.
Yeah.
But the fact that what we can do now, it's just unreal.
It's instant, isn't it?
And I love it. And I love the whole process. I get excited. I do my filming and then I go and I just use very simple iMovie. But I have to use my iMac. I can't edit on a phone.
On a phone, yeah.
So I use my iMac and I like the whole process of editing. And I do it in my own way. I often find sometimes if I then...
Do you plug your phone into your computer to get the videos off it?
I airdrop them.
Oh, you airdrop them over?
Yeah.
Okay.
I keep my photos separate.
Okay.
I don't link to the cloud.
Yeah.
I deposit my photos that goes onto an external hard drive because I've got thousands of bloody things. It screwed my computer a couple of times.
I bet.
So now, the last time I spoke to Apple, actually, he was great. He was a guy in Ireland, and he was a wedding photographer. So he absolutely got it.
Yeah.
And he did it all for me. And he said, have you got, and I said, I've got a spare external hard drive. So he plugged it all in. And now when I transfer my photos, they go directly to the external hard drive. It's a joy.
I'm hexed with computers and any tech. Like, ask Kelly, I can't even. I'm like, well, of course it's me. It's not working. It'll be like, open a link that somebody sent me and it will just not work. Or the classic one is I'm literally meant to be on a Zoom and I'm like, I can't find the link. She's like, go to your Google Calendar. I'm like, where is Google Calendar? I can't find Google Calendar on the computer.
Oh God,
and I'm like, it's already late. I'm like, then I start the meeting all stressed. I'm like, sorry, I'm hexed.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's what I was going to say. I went onto my insights and and it came up with 3 community warning. You know when you get a warning?
Yeah.
I thought, what's this? Because sometimes you get. I've only just started feeding. I call it feeding the beast. When you're working on Instagram, it's a beastie that needs to be fed.
Yeah.
And now Facebook's cropped up, and I've found that I've got about 13 or 14,000 followers on Facebook, which I didn't even know because it automatically goes from Instagram to Facebook, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm like, and all these messages.
All these messages
and I'm
you've
like,
not replied to.
Oh no.
I know.
Oh, so it's like, chain me to the computer. So I went through them all and now I service that as well. And I got these messages coming up, but I never know whether they're scams or not.
Yeah.
So I just delete them. Anyway, these 3. And one of them, 2 of them actually concerned me. And this did concern me. You know about when we go on about AI. It was content that I'd put on my subscription channel. One of them was a reel that I reshared, and it was of a parrot swearing.
Right.
And it was hilarious, this parrot swearing at a dog or a cat. So it wasn't even mine. I just shared it. And then another one was, Phil and I were having a bit of banter, and it involved a sausage, and he was shouting from the kitchen one Sunday morning, do you want a sausage? You can imagine. And I was just like, I cracked up. And it was just my subscribers, and we were just taking the rise, really, about this sausage. Well, obviously sausage and are words that flag up, but it was to my subscribers.
Exactly. So,
and I thought, I'm not a child, and if I want to, but there are other content where they effed, well, like DJ Fat Tony.
Do you think people
how do they get away with it?
Do you think people are reporting it?
What, on your subscribers? Well, you hope not. It's a bit daft.
But I think some people report our ads all the time because when, I'm not joking, it will be a picture of the product, the golden decanter with 5 ingredients, blah, 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 Elle-Sera. That's it. Reported. Adult content.
Well, I know.
I'm like, well, it's not
adult content. Yeah. Maybe it looks a bit saucy. You saucy minx. Maybe it does look a bit saucy.
No,
maybe it does. I've been looking at the wrong website.
No, I have spent so much time on the phone to Meta, and the thing that pisses me off the most is the fact that for me to acquire a customer, sometimes it costs me more than the cost of the product.
Yes.
And I think if customers knew that you're buying my product for the first month, I still haven't made a profit yet because it's all gone to Meta. So all of that's now gone to Meta. I've not even covered the cost of my overheads, the shipping, the product itself, anything else, the marketing that's involved. So, and I think if more consumers knew that, they would like chill out a little bit.
Give you a break.
Yeah, for every business. So most of my money goes to Meta. And then if Meta decide you're banned, even though I've given them tens of thousands of pounds a month, they just go, there you go. My whole livelihood hangs in the balance of another company. And that scares me. Whether I've got a roof over my house or the car I drive or whatever, all hangs in the balance of some arsehole faceless American company that I'm giving all of my profit to.
Or it could be a bot or AI.
That's the problem.
Or a 25-year-old.
They've got no customer service and it's fucking outrageous to the point where I'm now actually going to give a talk about how I'm going back to basics with grassroots marketing. Because while it's good to have a presence and it's good to have a presence and doing these things, face-to-face sales is what no one seems to be doing, and I'm going to hammer down on, because my cost per acquisition is a bit of petrol to get me to the event that's taking me that I'm at. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, I can't have somebody having so much say over what goes on in my life.
And the bigger you get, the worse it is. And this is what the cosh is hanging over so many accounts. A woman that I met at an event, she's got a shop down south. All of a sudden, there's been a lot of glitches on Instagram recently, which I think is deeply concerning. And one of the only reasons, it wasn't out of any sort of ego trip. I went for the blue tick because it's supposed to protect you more. Now, the proof of the pudding, I don't know that.
Do you get any more support from them?
Occasionally, you get somebody saying you can talk to somebody, but the advice that they're giving, quite frankly, is wrong.
Yeah.
They're telling people to do all their editing on the app. I never do. I never have done.
It's impossible.
No. But a lot of people do, because they're frightened to death. The advice that they're giving to people, and these are people who've got accounts of, say, 20 or 30,000.
Yeah.
The advice is flatly wrong. But then that just goes to show that what works for me won't work for you, and vice versa.
Your attention span is your commodity, and that's why they want you on it. Like YouTube wants your attention. Instagram wants your attention. So the longer they can keep you on that app, that's why they'll always show you notifications. There's always stuff coming through because they want you back on that app. And that's what you're giving up. When you're giving all your data away, they want your attention. And it's the longer you can stay on there, the better. So if you are editing in there, you're on it for hours and hours a day, that makes that business even more...
I'm on it enough. Though.
Yeah, but that's
I am. You said, what is my day like? Well, I quite often say, Phil will say something about my head being in my phone. I mean, I've had to be careful because, during my marriage, before my account took off, my husband, there was a stage where he was vehemently against it. Yeah. Because it took over so much of my time. Yeah. And he had a point.
And your social time
That's
together.
That's why I had a break. That's why a lot of people that started at the same time as me took off. Well, now I've sort of done catch up. But it's not about how many followers you've got. Because there are some people with smaller accounts with much bigger engagement, I feel, than I've got, because I think people's attention span has got smaller. And Phil very rarely likes a post or a reel. He's just scrolling. He's watching and scrolling. And he doesn't know how to use it, so he doesn't realise that you should like it. Yeah. He thinks, I like that.
Like my
he knows
partner.
how to save.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he doesn't like it necessarily, even if he likes it. And I think what you have to look at as well is you have to be governed by how many people are watching it and for how long. This is why shorter reels work, which people don't get to grips with. They'll go too fast. But I realise that I'm creating content that is more fashion-based, if you like. So I usually put slow versions or still shots on my stories and then save them to a highlight. Because if I go really slow on a reel, it's just not going to pick up traction. People are going to get bored. Yeah. And you need to keep it to about 7 to 10 seconds, ridiculously. And some of my best performing reels have been, what was that? And I'm aware of it, the stupidity of it, but it's all about grabbing attention, because for the masses, their attention span is very small. So you've got to appeal to the masses. I don't always. Sometimes I go, this week I'll probably just be posting stills because I just feel like it. And I can. And it won't get thousands of likes, but I don't care. No. The people that I care about are seeing it, and I'm doing it and enjoying it for me. Or I am now in a position where if I want to take a day off or 2 days, I do. And it actually doesn't affect your growth in followers. It's ridiculous.
That's a really good, healthy way to think about it, because I was reading an interview with Lorna Lux, and she was saying, so obviously her husband takes all her pictures for her, or she does a few herself, but she'll take 800 pictures to get one that she likes. Wow. And I get that. And they get up at 4 a.m. So to go around London, they'll get up at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. To get the shots. To get the shots. Or like wherever they are in the world.
Well, I'm not that hardcore.
And she replies to every single message herself.
She does, because I've messaged her.
Yeah, I have as well, because we've got the same birthday. And she is on her phone all day long. Now, that's, he fully supports that. But
and she's another one that gets absolutely murdered.
Does she?
Gossip forums. Oh, they're awful to her. They're awful. They don't really... I can see a very loving relationship. Yeah. He's been poorly. But people just will have a pop at anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I think the bigger you get, the more open to abuse you are. And I've accepted that.
Do you think
and I don't worry about it.
Do you think you are fair game if you're putting yourself out there and you're monetizing it?
I guess so. Although I'm more careful about, I don't know whether it's not a case of a social conscience. You have to be so careful. I mean, for example, the Black Lives Matter movement, what's going on at the moment in Gaza and Israel, the US elections. I have had quite a lot of people messaging saying, you've got a big platform, use your platform to say this or to say that. And I politely say, this is my safe space. It's light, fluffy entertainment. It is not somewhere where I want to discuss politics. Yes, I can say controversial things if I want to, because sometimes it's healthy to start a conversation, but not about religion or politics. I can't.
No,
or culture wars or race. You just can't, because one, I don't know enough about it. And I genuinely don't. I always do my research and I always read up, but you're only reading a lot of other people's opinions. And it's really difficult with certain issues to form your own wholesome, full opinion. So I tend to talk to a very, very close-knit group of friends and family about issues. And I'm on Twitter completely anonymously, and I absorb a lot on there on all sides. I tend to follow polar opposites to try and see where we're meeting in the middle. But my Instagram account is not a place for that.
And it's just for fashion and like literally,
it's
a
fluff.
niche. Yeah.
It's just, my niche is pro-age fashion. I flim-flam around a little bit about putting my age there and not, because I think, people just going to get pissed off if I just say, here at 55, this is how I do this. But then I've got a very good friend who works on QVC, Evie. And it's the old attention span again. She said, if you've noticed on QVC, we repeat ourselves probably every 4 minutes. That's because you've always got new people joining.
Yeah.
So you have to treat your audience as if they know nothing and have never watched you before, because you're picking up new people all the time. And I've tested this, and I've posted a reel, and then you post the same outfit, but the still posts a few days later.
Yeah.
And people are still saying, where's your jumper from? Where's this? Where's that? And I think, well, I put it up 2 days ago.
I know, but if you've linked it on stories, where is it now? You know, we can't find it.
That's why I stick it on a highlight.
Yeah.
But then I worry that people don't know how to find the highlights.
Well,
so I explained to them, and I did this. So sometimes I'll post my reels again on stories, or this is me, people will say, I don't know how to do this. So I'll scroll back through my own feed and then send them the reels so that they can look at them.
I mean, thank God I haven't got many people. I've got 22,000 followers, and that is enough for me, because I just couldn't police it all. I can't even police all that.
You see, it's not just...
And I don't monetize it. So it's just, I think this is non-revenue making time sometimes, especially if it's just about nothing.
Yeah.
You know, if it's like something genuine, I know these people, like, it ends up sometimes they buy into you or whatever. Great. But a lot of the time, if it's like fluff and this, I just leave it. I just like...
And it's become... job's the wrong word, because it's not something that I ever consciously did as a job, because it was a hobby with benefits. And yes, it's very nice when a brand recognises you and you get paid to do content and you try and do the best you can. I get really pissed off if it doesn't do well. But as soon as you put advert on your post, it will take a dive compared to your normal content.
Really?
Yes.
Right.
It's human nature. I remember thinking it, you know, when I first started out.
Well, she's getting paid to say it's amazing.
And you kind of get a bit huffety.
But surely, like, you wouldn't say you came, 10 brands wanted to work with you, and yet 8 of them you didn't like, you wouldn't even buy it yourself. But 2 of them you thought, oh, actually, if I'd seen that, I actually would buy that with my own money, no problem.
In the main,
So then those are the ones you'd work with.
I've worked for some brands, I'll be honest with you, where it's clothing, and okay, I probably wouldn't go. But then I don't buy a lot of clothes. This is the daft thing. And I wear quite a lot of my own clothes. I'm trying to have a sort out to get rid, because it's just not sustainable, the clothing that I've got. So I'm selling some on. Some of it's mine, some of it was gifted. We're doing charity donations. I'm not giving it all to charity. I'm being honest, because somebody else is helping me sell through Vinted. So I'm giving her money as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but some brands, I think it's a case of this brand has a certain image. Let's put it on Helen or whoever, and let's see how they style it to prove, because some of these websites that they use as well, I mean, like the Marks and Spencer's website is god awful.
Right.
But when people see it on real people, and I would say I'm a real person, I know I've lost weight, but I'm not 6 foot tall and skinny and 20. So they put it on me and others to show that this is how I would style it and say, look, you know, I can wear this dress from this brand, which probably isn't what you'd associate me with, or cheaper brands, because let's see how we can style this and make it look more luxe.
Yeah.
And I think there's quite a few Instagrammers who do that and do it really well. And I appreciate them now, because I used to think they wouldn't wear that.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, actually, they're showing all their followers how to wear it if that's their budget.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you can go and buy Max Mara, most people, but even people would look shit in a Max Mara coat. I probably would, because it would bury me probably, the fashion for it. But, you know, it doesn't really matter whether you spend Max Mara money or more, or Primark. You can either make it work for you or you can't. And it's all, I always say to my audience and followers, it's all about proportion. It doesn't matter how tall you are, how big you are, little you are. It's your proportions, and you work with your proportions more than anything else. And so, yeah, there's some brands, but when it comes more to beauty or supplements, I've turned down supermarkets who were offering to pay, because I thought, I don't want to advertise pork products.
Yeah.
You know, I've turned down certain beauty brands that are big beauty brands because I actually don't like the products. So I do have the capacity to say no. Or if people are pissing me about, I'll say, you know what, this really isn't worth my while.
Yeah.
They're going to be really fussy. I'm going to have to work 10 times as hard, and I'm not going to enjoy it. And I always said, and I'm on record as saying, if this ever becomes a chore, I'm not going to do it. And I won't. Or I'm in a position where I can actually say, I don't want to do that. You know, I took on a manager to clear up some of my admin, because I don't like admin.
Yeah.
And they're finding me work, and, you know, it's decent work, but they're not overloading me. I don't want to get overloaded, because at my core, I get more of a buzz when I work with, like, my friend Paul by Pollyanna Clothing. She produces sweatshirts and T-shirts. She's big friends with Davinia Taylor as well. I love Davinia. And the buzz is when I advertise, how many have you sold? Have you got any sales coming through?
Yeah.
Oh, I sold 30. Oh, that's brilliant. You know, that's where you get the buzz. Genuinely, I don't care what anyone says. Genuinely, it only works for me if they're actually making sales.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I think, well, I'm a bit shit, aren't I?
Yeah.
Or, you know, is it not my audience or whatever? You don't always win at it. Big celebrities, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million celebrities can wear things and no sales.
Not sell anything.
No.
We've worked with some celebrities in the past, again, with affiliate codes and stuff like that. Not one sale. You know?
But again, these affiliate, it's tricky, because human nature, sometimes people will think, I'll just come off that.
And
I'll go onto the website and buy it. They do. They've told me, people have told me that or they don't understand it. I've had friends, I mean, lots of my friends, quite a few of my friends are not on Instagram, and they are, and they never like or follow what I'm doing, but that's what friends are. But the amount of times they'll come out, or they'll say, oh, I bought that. Oh, did you click on my link? No. They thought about it, wrote it down, old school, wrote it down, and they went back to it and went and bought it. And you think, but you can't win them all.
Yeah, well, I've absolutely loved talking to you today, Helen. I could sit and talk to you all day. I really could. I think it's so accessible, really easy to chat to. I think that's one of your strengths and your success, that you are very girl next door, heart on your sleeve. You are a bit of fun. And you're so wearable. The clothes that you wear are so wearable. You know, you've really inspired me anyway. I was looking for a turtleneck jumper this morning. And all of them are going to the dry cleaners. So I put something a bit funky on.
Oh, this is about 4 years old.
But yeah, I've absolutely loved chatting to you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, it's been a pleasure.